will take place?
Cresting Pans.
Correct. What was the hypothetical major planet once thought to orbit the Sun within the orbit of Mercury and now known not to exist? A tom-tom is a type of drum. What musical instrument is a tam-tam?
Sort of whistle.
No, it's a gong. Petroleum production is sometimes quoted in barrels. I'll finish it. How many imperial gallons are there in a barrel?
112.
A bit too much. 35, actually. And at the end of that round, Dr. Jenkins, you two have scored 23 points. You passed on 5. The new Arts and Conference Centre opened in London by the Queen while you were still in America was the Barbican Centre, very close by here. The man who succeeded Cardinal Wyszynski as Primate of Poland is Archbishop Joseph Glemp. The name of the carbohydrate which forms the main constituent of plant cell walls is cellulose. Mr. Terry Duffy succeeded Hugh Scanlon at the Amalgamated Union of Engineering Workers. And the hypothetical major planet thought to orbit the Sun within the orbit of Mercury, now known not to exist at all, is Vulcan. Dr. Jenkins, thank you very much. And our third finalist, please. Postgraduate research student in medieval Latin at Reading University. Rosemary James, lying in second place with 16 points on the life and works of Frederick William Rofe. The target you have to beat is 23. Your general knowledge question starting now. According to the Old Testament, the dove returned to Noah's Ark with a leaf. What kind of leaf?
Olive.
Correct. Who's the American composer who wrote the music and lyrics of many shows, including Annie Get Your Gun and Call Me Madam?
Jerome Kern.
No, Irving Berlin. For what purpose is a vessel called a censer or thurible used?
To hold incense.
Correct, burning it. Mrs. Emmeline Pankhurst was supported in her campaign for women's suffrage by her 2 daughters. Christabel was one, who was the other?
Sylvia.
Correct. What's the name of the independent principality in Central Europe whose capital is Vaduz?
Andorra.
No, Liechtenstein. What is the colloquial name for the type of heart transplant operation in which a patient is given a second heart alongside his own?
Pass.
Who defeated Hanna Mandlikova in last year's ladies' singles final at Wimbledon?
Martina Navratilova.
No, it was Chris Lloyd. Which ancient Greek dramatist coined the phrase which means in translation cloud cuckoo land?
Aristophanes.
Correct. In the First World War, what name was given to armed ships disguised as merchant vessels used by Britain as decoys for German submarines?
Pass.
What's the name of the highest steam-navigated lake in the world crossed by the boundary of Peru and Bolivia?
Lake Titicaca.
Correct. What is the more common name of the tree Aesculus hippocastanum?
Horse chestnut.
Correct. Which famous London department store, founded in 1812, closed early in January this year?
Pass.
Which 20th century poet wrote The Whitsun Weddings and Church-Going?
Auden.
No, Philip Larkin. Who was the Prime Minister of the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland from 1956 until his breakup in 64?
Ian Smith.
No, Sir Roy Walensky. What's the principal solvent in a liquid preparation called a tincture?
Iodine.
No, alcohol. According to Apuleius, who was a beautiful maiden beloved by the god Cupid?
Psyche.
Correct. The Marquis of Tavistock is heir to which duke?
Devonshire.
No, Bedford. In heraldry, what are known as attires? And you may answer.
Augmentations on a coat of arms.
No, they are in fact a stag's antlers. A stag is attired with his antlers, and at the end of that round, Miss James, you two have scored 23 points. You passed on 3. The colloquial name for the type of heart transplant operation which a patient is given a second heart alongside his own is a piggyback operation. And the name given to the armed ships used as decoys by Britain against German submarines in the First World War were Q ships. And the famous London department store, founded in 1812, that closed in January of this year, is, or was, Swan and Edgar. Ms. James, thank you very much. And our fourth finalist again, please. Retired ambassador, expert on Cyprus, publishing next month an illustrated history of Cyprus called Footprints in Cyprus. Sir David Hunt. Lying in third place with 13 points on Alexander the Great. You have a target of a triple tie on 23 to beat. Your general knowledge question starting now. St. Paul told the chief captain who arrested him that he was a citizen of no mean city. Which city?
Tarsus.
Correct. What Tyler was leader of the peasants' revolt in 1381? From which county did he lead his followers to London?
Kent.
Correct. What's the capital of the Canadian province of Alberta?
Winnipeg.
No, Edmonton. In the Muslim religion, what's the name for the crier who proclaims the hours of prayer from a minaret?
Muezzin.
Correct. In yacht racing, why is the America's Cup so called?
After the schooner America.
Correct. Who was the former Attorney General who organised the Ulster Volunteers opposed to Home Rule for Ireland just before the First World War?
Charson.
Correct. Which of Rossini's operas was originally subtitled The Useless Precaution?
Pass.
In the ancient Roman calendar, what were the calends?
First of the month.
Correct. Who was the English statesman and historian, Lord Chancellor under Charles II, whose name was given to a printing house for the Oxford University Press?
Clarendon.
Correct. What kind of creature is a cottonmouth or water moccasin?
Snake.
Correct. Name one of the two West African states which formed a confederation in February this year.
Gambia.
Correct. A series of etchings, The Disasters of War, are a record of the horrors of the French invasion of Spain in the early 19th century by which artist?
Goya.
Correct. In one of Scott's Waverley novels, what was the Heart of Midlothian?
The Tolbooth.
Correct. What is the name for an ancient manuscript on which the writing has been effaced to make room for new writing?
Palimpsest.
Correct. Colonel Gaddafi of Libya gained power after a military coup overthrew the king in 1969. Who was the former king?
Idris.
Correct. Which English philosopher and statesman wrote in an essay, "Money is like muck, not good except it be spread"?
Pass.
Jacopo Peri is believed to have composed the earliest operas. In which Italian city were they first performed?
Venice.
No, Florence. What is the style of boat building called in which the external planks or strakes overlap downwards?
Clinker.
Correct. What was the name of the Russian marshal who achieved victory over Finland in 1939 to 40?
Tolbukin.
No, Timoshenko. In the human body, what... I've started, so I'll finish. In the human body, what is the more common name for the scapula?
The shoulder blade.
Shoulder blade is right. And at the end of that round, Sir David Hunt, you have scored 28 points. You passed on to the Rossini opera, originally subtitled The Useless Precaution, is The Barber of Seville, and the English philosopher and statesman who wrote Money is like muck, not good except it be spread, was Francis Bacon. So David Hunt, thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of our holiday mastermind contest. And let's just remind ourselves of the score with a look at the scoreboard. There was a triple tie for second place on 23 points between Mrs. Patricia Owen, Dr. Philip Jenkins, and Ms. Rosemary James. But the winner with that fast, late run on the outside track with 28 points is retired ambassador Sir David Hunt. And now to present the trophy to Sir David, it's my pleasure to introduce the controller of BBC One, Mr. Alan Hart.
Well, that was certainly a tense and exciting way to celebrate the first 10 years of Mastermind. Our warm thanks to all 10 champions for taking part in this competition over the past 3 days. And of course, our congratulations to the winner, Sir David Hunt, who becomes the supreme champion of the first decade of Mastermind. And incidentally, becomes the first owner, too, of a matching set of Mastermind trophies. Sir David.
That completes our 10th anniversary celebrations, and now all that it remains for me to do is to say thank you to the Corporation of the City of London for their very kind hospitality to us here at Guildhall over the 3 days, and to hope that you at home have enjoyed this special tournament. Now, we'll be back at the end of the year with a new series of Mastermind, the start of our next decade. Until then, from all of us here, goodbye.
In 20 minutes, there's the first London concert appearance by the renowned Italian tenor Luciano Pavarotti, recorded at the Royal Albert Hall in the presence of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. First, an extended edition of the main news on BBC One with John Humphrys. It's 9:36.
A nuclear sub goes into action. Argentina's only cruiser is crippled and may be sunk. And a Lynx helicopter goes into action. An Argentine patrol boat is sunk. Call up for the QE2 and 3,000 more soldiers. The Defence Secretary says, "I hope it won't be a bloody conflict." Good evening. There are reports tonight that Argentina's only cruiser, the second biggest ship in her navy, has now sunk. The cruiser, the General Belgrano, was struck by 2 torpedoes from a British nuclear submarine. At the time, it's thought there were 1,000 men on board. The Belgrano was known to have been severely damaged, and the news that she may actually have sunk came as Mr. John Nott, the Minister of Defence, was answering questions from reporters at the Ministry of Defence less than an hour ago. Britain has also sunk a patrol boat, a converted tug, and damaged another. Mr. Nott said the past week had been a notably successful one for British forces, but he said Britain's overriding aim would remain a peaceful and lasting settlement. "I sincerely hope it will not be a long and bloody conflict," he added. Earlier, the government had announced the next stage in the military build-up. The QE2 has been called into service. She's due back at Southampton at midnight tonight, as well as another 2 ferries and a container ship. They'll be used to carry south the 3,000 men of 5 Infantry Brigade, who are on standby for the Falkland Islands. But first, the reports that the cruiser Belgrano has sunk in the South Atlantic. Here's a report from Christopher Morris in Buenos Aires.
The military junta, in a communique number 18 issued just a few minutes ago, said there were now indications that the General Belgrano has sunk. The last known position of the Argentine cruiser was given as 55 degrees 24 latitude south and 61 degrees 32 longitude west. There were no other details given, either about the 1,200 Argentine sailors aboard the warship or the huge sea search which has apparently been going on all day. According to military sources here, at least 5 Argentine warships have been taking part in this search. But if the cruiser has indeed gone down, the chances of the crew's survival would seem remote, after so many hours since the torpedo attack, with 30-foot waves reported and icy sea conditions. The junta confirmed the attack on the General Belgrano earlier this morning, saying that the cruiser had been damaged by a torpedo. Then no other details were given, whether there'd been any Argentine casualties or exactly how serious the damage was. The cruiser was commissioned 43 years ago and bought from the United States in 1951 for nearly £4 million.
There's been something of a lull in the fighting in the South Atlantic. It's now more than 17 hours since Britain sank an Argentine patrol boat within the exclusion zone, and more than 24 hours since the Royal Navy torpedoed the Belgrano just outside. For an account of these first naval battles of the conflict, our reporter with the task force, Brian Hanrahan, who sent us this dispatch before the announcement that the Belgrano may have sunk.
The cruiser had been operating outside Britain's 200-mile exclusion zone for several days. At 8 o'clock last night, a nuclear-powered submarine torpedoed it. It hasn't been sunk, but it has been damaged. The attack was selective, the cruiser's escorts were allowed to escape. The General Belgrano was an old World War II cruiser. It had 15 big guns and a crew of more than 1,000 to man them. Despite its firepower, it was perhaps the least worrying of the serious threats to the task force. Because of its age, it would make a great deal of noise in the water, an easy trace for Britain's nuclear hunter-killer submarines, which have been on station here for some time. The overnight skirmish began when a Sea King helicopter came across an Argentine patrol boat, a converted tug armed with a machine gun. The tug opened fire on the Sea King, which called in reinforcements. A Lynx helicopter armed with the latest radar-guided missile, a Sea Skua, attacked the tug